Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games in the Game Pass collection, bringing you two unique perspectives of varying skill range. I am the CEO of this operation, Andrew. With me, our intern, Keith.
Hello.
And we did a listener request. This has been a while
Finally.
since it's been a while since we've done a listener request, but it's also been a while since we've done this style of game. But thank you so much to G Alone by Choice. Or I guess just Alone by Choice. He recommended that we play Have a Nice Death by Magic Design Studios. Have a Nice Death is a 2D roguelike platformer where you are playing Death, who obviously does what Death does and is, throughout time has been collecting souls, but he's burned out. He's kind of sick of the job, so he starts to delegate some of his workflow. And because of that, he slowly has progressively lost his power. And then he's just realized that everything's backed up, nothing's running well, and everything's going awful. So begrudgingly, Death has to get off of his desk and go and try to fix what's wrong with the company of Death. But Keith, what did you think of Have a Nice Death? It's been a while. Like I said, we haven't done a roguelite platformer in a while. Like honestly, the last one I can think of was Dead Cells.
Yeah. Well, so it's kind of weird because we haven't covered one, but I played Skull a bunch when it was on Game Pass, and I thought there was even another 2D platformer that I played, and that's what I'm trying to think of. Because I feel like I've played more than just this one. But yeah, it's been a while since we've done one. And I gotta say, I enjoy it, but I think it's really one that I think I mostly enjoy because I like roguelikes more than anything. Because it's not even to say that it's a pass. It's just wasn't excited about it the way like some with some roguelikes. It was just like fine for me. And I think part of it's at least I found it to be kind of hard. Like it's not screamingly difficult, but it has, I don't know, a lot of reminding me of Dead Cells in a lot of ways. And we can talk even more about that, I guess, directly. But yeah, overall, it's a game, but it's like it's a game if you like roguelites. Like if you're not into this style, this like kind of, we always say this about games. This isn't going to be the one that's going to be like, oh, now I get it. I get why people play these.
It's kind of funny. I'm feeling the same way about this. I like it, but I wasn't crazy about it. Like I feel the same way. It's like hard, but I'm also thinking about it. I'm like, it wasn't that hard, but also was like literally the in between when you're just fighting the random mobs. I found to be like brain dead easy. It was always the bosses where randomly the difficulty like cranks up super high. But to me, it was just like the weapons were very basic. Everything was just kind of like, yeah, okay. Like to me, and this is the big thing because I remember we played Dead Cells. Dead Cells got crazy hard. And to
Yes.
me, it's like you had to focus on Dead Cells. You had to have muscle memory, know the game, because it got very hard. Have a Nice Death to me was very much kind of the opposite of like, I feel like I could put this game down for a month and revisit it and still kind of get what I mean, that's actually kind of what I did with this game because I did start this game when it first came out on Game Pass. I
Same.
played a good like handful of hours, but then I was like, oh, we're not covering it right now, so I'm just gonna put this in the side. And then when we were like, okay, well, let's do this now, it all came back to me pretty quickly. I will give it a game, but yeah, I wasn't just I was the same way as you were. It's just like it didn't scream at me. But our listener, Alone by Choice, also kind of gave us a little bit of review here too. He said, it's a roguelike platform with difficult bosses, powerful unlocks, and difficulty options when you want a challenge. I find that it flows easily and is easy to play slowly or rapidly. There's shortcuts after beating bosses, and everything is easy enough that you only need to fight enemies once or twice to learn their movesets. I feel like everybody would enjoy it. And he makes a lot of good points. The set moves were pretty easy, but it was just I don't know. I guess we'll get into this discussion. But yeah, starting off as I said with the story, you're playing as Death, who's been doing this job since the beginning of time. He's gotten work burnout, And so because of that, he's delegated his work to, these evil powers, these certain bosses called sorrows that just kind of been mismanaging things. Deathcat now realizes there's paperwork everywhere, souls are piling up, things aren't running right. And so now he has to go and try to fix things, but he's not the same Death as he used to be. Now he's just this little guy, and he still is very begrudgingly wanting to do this job. He still very much feels the burnout, but he's sick of things not working right. And then, of course, there's a ton of side characters in this game, which I the story for Have a Nice Death, I thought was good.
It was a
I don't
good
know.
means to an end. Like I feel like I say that a lot about
I know I didn't want to
roguelikes
say
with the
that
story.
because I'm like we have saying that a lot.
You don't want to steal my line. I appreciate that. But in many ways, it kind of was. And it was like, and I think it was almost necessary to make itself different more so than Dead Cells, because Dead Cells didn't have the humor so much. It didn't have, I think there was a story. I don't remember. It's been so long
It
since we
did.
played that. But it's just, I think it almost like it just needed something a little bit different to set itself apart from that. But it's, yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. Like it was funny. It was like, okay, it makes sense why I'm doing these things now. But there was nothing about it that I was like, oh man, I really like this character. I'm really excited to find out more about what's going to happen. I started to click through a lot of dialogues
I
and
started to
like
as well.
just, well, because there's one of them in particular, not to spoiler alert achievements, but there's an achievement for it's like have the full dialogue with one of the characters. Maybe there is for more of them, but it's just he just goes on and on and on with this wicked long story, and like that. But you have to keep going back to him a few times for him to finish it. And so yeah, it's like it's an achievement to do that. But yeah,
Yeah,
no
I
one
felt
was
this.
like super engaging.
Yeah, the characters I felt the same way. Where I'm like, these are cool design characters. They look kind of funny, which I don't know. This game. I don't think ever really made me chuckle. There's some things that are kind of like, that's interesting. For me, it was more the designs of the characters, which are crazy morbid. Like this game is very goofy, but also not, because obviously the characters you're interacting with, like they look like the way they died. So you have one guy, I think it was his name Disco. Either I don't know, but either way, he has a disco ball that crushed his head. So he's just a human body with a disco ball for a head. But you look at it, and there actually is like blood splatter under the disco ball. So
I
it's like, all right,
noticed
that's a
that.
little grotesque. Then you have Harriet, who's super into fitness and trying to keep people motivated, but they're completely ripped of skin. So they're just muscle. And so it's like these kind of funny, goofy characters, but also incredibly morbid. But I
I
was
didn't
the
even
same
pay
way.
close attention to that.
Which did they? I didn't see. Did they explain how that person died? I know there's a bunch of like
Which
lore
one?
pages you can read. Harriet.
No.
I didn't see. I don't know. I don't know if I can't remember if I unlocked it. I can't remember if I saw how they died. I mean, obviously they died from getting their skin ripped off. But yeah, like I don't know if I ever really laughed. But there was a lot of times where I'm like, it's interesting, these characters, kind of see what they're talking about. And then yeah, I was the same way where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start clicking through this.
I feel like there was probably some chuckles I got out of the dialogue here and there, but maybe not. Maybe it really was more just like I remembered laughing at that one with the achievement because I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah. So the story itself, though, I wanted more of this humor because it looked. I love the art style of this and what it's kind of doing of you being death and trying, getting sick of your job, kind of thing like that. Like, hey, this is a funny premise. Even too, anytime you're going to the bosses, you kind of do these arguments that I also got like so sick of. Like, I'm so sick of talking to the security guard gargoyle, and it's just like, and it just every time you fight him again, you're doing another dialogue, and I was just like, okay, hey, let's get this going. This game made me not want to like listen to the story.
Yeah, because it's just some variation of be like, I thought I kicked you out again,
Yeah,
and I'm back.
yeah,
You're not doing your job right, so I'm gonna fix that. I'm
yeah.
just like, okay, yeah, like it got a little played, especially where I was kind of in this, kind of death loop as you do with roguelites, where I just kept fighting Brad and not really progressing much further than Brad. And so I just constantly talked to Brad.
Come on, Brad.
And like, and I think, maybe that's like kind of where I'm thinking, I guess, a little bit too of like, I found some humor. Like, I don't know. There's just something funny to me about a boss being named Brad. It's not inherently a big joke or good goof by any means, but I don't know. I'm just like he's this big bulking guy and just Brad. So it's like, and I think that's kind of like what you were saying though. It's like environmentally, this game is kind of funny, but the dialogue just doesn't back it up in many ways.
Yeah. I mean, because when you go to like, there's a fast food world and you're fighting the main boss, there's Waldo. And obviously it's meant to be kind of like Ronald McDonald mixed with, what's that stupid mascot with the checkered pants, fat guy? I can't remember his name. But yeah, or it's like a mixture. It's supposed to be like an amalgamation of obviously a lot of different fast food mascots. But but yeah, none of it. It just I loved the art style of it. I was expecting way more jokes with it, and I just to me it just didn't land as much. So I feel like this is my first explanation as to why I was so lukewarm with this game. It's like I first was interested in the story, but then as I'm playing over, as you said, keep talking to Brad, and then finally getting back to Mr. Grimes or Waldo, and I was just like, okay, I'm kind of losing interest in this. So the story, sorry, Keith, I'm taking your line of it's a means to an end.
It is. It largely is.
But as far as the combat goes, the combat I did enjoy. The combat I think is it's a typical roguelike platformer, but I the animations of it is awesome. And it's just it's cool. You know, you're playing death. You deal with, you know, your scythe, you have dual scythes, you unlock different magic spells, weapons, maces. I loved the drip feed in this game of the different weapons, but the combat itself is very simple. You have a dash, jump, charge attack, you know, magic attacks, like I said, ultimates. It worked. And this is where I felt like I could easily drop this game for a month or so and then come back to it. It all the combat's very simple, but it's everything's very choreographed. You just got to know when to dodge things, jump over things when you know it's a good opportunity to attack an enemy. I enjoyed this combat. To me, this combat works very well.
Yeah, overall, I the one thing I constantly had to keep looking up, and this would be even as I was playing it too. I would forget what's the power up move. Like when you
Yeah,
charge your power bar, I was like, is it left stick, right stick, left bumper, right bumper? And I'd go through all the combination and feel like none of them would work. And then I think it's actually not that either. And it's like, I don't remember. I couldn't tell you what it is now, but otherwise the overall controls, yeah, there's no venting the wheel about the movement. You get a double jump. Yeah, it doesn't do anything more than a double jump, at least as far as I progressed. Like
yeah,
you have a double jump, it's a platformer, but it's not overly difficult platforming. There's no height damage, right? No,
no,
there's no height. Yeah, so there's no height damage. Like I'm trying to think about it, and I'm like, because I think there was also parts of it where I would just kind of get annoyed when I was playing because again, just Brad, and I would just start like zipping through levels like as quick as I could and not really paying attention. But yeah, like I don't know, there's nothing so big about it that I'm like, oh man, this is just so special what this game does. But the gameplay is fun. It's got enough of the traits that make me want to play it, but not that make me want to go play it
and dedicate your life
consistently.
to it, like
Yeah,
Brotato.
yeah. It's no Brotato, it's no Balatro. It is not stealing hours and hours of my day, but it's fun enough.
Yeah, like I said, the in between bosses to me was the easiest part. You know, the platforming is very simple. Navigating the map isn't hard. You don't need a map because, you know, obviously it's you're climbing a big like CEO like skyscraper kind of tower. So the objective of you is to get from, you know, point A to an elevator. And you get to an elevator and you get to select a path. When you get in the elevator, it's random. It'll be like, us, you know, do you want to go to a floor that'll give you more currency? Do you want to go to a floor that'll give you more like souls? Do you want to go to a floor that gives you maybe a new weapon? Or do you want to fight a mini boss? Like it'll give you a choice. So you obviously are progressing. I think the first one takes about 8 floors until you finally get to, you know, an actual main boss, one of the sorrows. So it's very simple loop gameplay. And once you die, obviously you start back over. You can start unlocking secret elevators to kind of shortcut things to kind of make it go a little bit faster. But obviously you're going to kind of be hindering yourself a little bit. You can level up your character as you're playing a run, get new perks. It's super simple. I also loved everything is well explained. Like whenever you got the perks, there's a guy who's like HR who kind of gives you a perk. You have red, blue, green, which is also very reminiscent of Dead Cells if you played that. Red does more physical, blue's defense, green is magic. And it'll specifically say, like, they'll be like, oh, this gives you retaliate. But when you actually put your cursor over it, or you have your mouse on it or controller, it'll say retaliate does this. You get incinerate. Incinerate does this. So everything was super easy to remember. I'm with you, Keith. Yeah, the thing that I kept forgetting was how to do the ultimate, because when you hold the trigger, it like zooms the camera in, and I kept going like, I'm like, what is this? Why is the camera zooming in? What is the purpose of this button? And then it finally dawned on me. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to also hit X, Y, or B, one of my items to do an ultimate. But that's the
That's
only
what it
thing
was.
control I forgot to do. What, did you forget how to do it still?
Like I said, I would always try to like hit like left bumper and right bumper at the same time. Like I was like, I knew it was like a 2 button combination, but I could never remember what it was.
So you're just smashing your controller, hoping it
Basically.
works.
And then in the meantime, Brad's just like elbow dropping me and I'm just like, great. God dang it, Brad.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I ended up forgetting. But everything else, I'm just like, this is super explanatory. Like, I get what's going on. So I just had to remember basically of just some of the enemy move sets, like I said, after I put this game down. But that was still very easy. Like, the main enemies literally have 1 to 2 attacks. Great, super easy. And then when it comes to the bosses, they too also have like 4, 5. They start to get, like stages when their health goes low, and they come up with some new move sets. But it was all very easy. The dodge is very responsive. The only thing, like, so in Dead Cells, like, you need to have Twitch like reflexes. In this, I felt like it was way more forgiving. It was way more forgiving to kind of dash through things. You don't need a, like, I don't even think this game had a parry. Now that I think
No,
about
that
it.
I'm aware of.
Yeah, in Dead Cells, you need a parry. You need to be able to block and stuff like that. In this, it was just, nah, just avoid the clearly choreographed bad spots, and you're good. So the boss fights to me were very interesting and unique and engaging. But yeah, it was just, you die so quick. This is my other complaint, though, is you die. I will be having a great run. You get health potions, which are really crappy. Like, the
Yeah,
health
they're
potions
not
would
good.
only heal you for like 5 hit points. I have like 120 health, and I use a health potion and it heals like 5 hit points. And I'm like, wow, that was really useless.
Like
So
that's
that's what
one of
kind of
those things
frustrated
that
with
I
the
wonder
bosses.
like does that start to get better as you go further and you start to unlock more things? Because I think like that's where I was finding it hard. It wasn't the fighting, it wasn't the boss mechanic or the boss moves, because that's something I generally struggle with. But I actually was like, okay, I can follow Brad's move set. I know what to dodge. I know how to dodge it. Like I can do this because again, I fought him probably 15, 20 times. So like I
He's like
could
the easiest guy. Did you really struggle with Brad? Do you
I mean,
really have like
not
a deep
not by
seated
the
hate for
end.
Brad?
No, I mean not really. By the end of when I was playing it, I was usually dying to something stupid later on. But I still fought him a lot because he's the first boss. You always have to go through him.
I feel like from now on, whenever someone's gonna be like, "Hey, I'm Brad," you can be like, "Oh, Brad."
But yeah, it's just like and they even die pretty easily too, because that was kind of the nice thing. Like you had that sort of trade off, right? Because you were saying you get the shortcuts and you can get the elevator that brings you right to Brad. And so in doing so, you skip all of the roguelike climb. You don't get any of the XP, not XP, but you don't get any of the money. You don't get any of the
The
items, any
perks,
of that.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're trading that off, but they did give you, I felt like it was always like a pretty decent weapon. It tended to be like a rare level 2 level, or like have a perk on it or something like that. But overall, it was a decent weapon. So you got like that, I guess, little bonus in doing it. But if you happen to get one that was beefy, if it rolled you a good one, you could pretty much take down Brad with like and maybe even some of the other bosses too, but like you could take them down with like 5 or 6 hits. Like it would chunk them down pretty hard. And if you actually could remember the button for the power up move when you had it, that would also take off like a good half if you had it. Like I had some like electricity one, and it was just dropping bolts all over the
I had a meteor one that just decimated people.
yeah. Like if the magic in particular seemed to be the strongest because you could just sit back
Man,
and hurl damage at them.
I feel like such an idiot. Keith, did you get the joke? So the HR guy that gives you the perks, did you get his name? I'm looking at his name now, and I'm now like, oh, I get the joke.
There, I don't remember what it is, but it took me a little bit where all of a sudden it
I
hit me.
kept in my head pronouncing his name as O'Shea, and his name's OSHA.
I didn't pick that up
It's
actually.
O apostrophe SHAH. OSHA.
I don't think I actually did catch that now that you mentioned it. Just kidding.
Okay. That I don't feel as dumb. I always kept calling him O'Shea in my head, but now that I actually see this, I'm like, oh, it's OSHA. I
That
get
makes
it.
a whole lot more sense
Yep,
given
that
the
makes a lot more
context of the
sense.
game.
Well, no, I don't feel as bad if you didn't get the joke either. But yeah, the bosses were literally the only thing that were killing me. I don't think I ever died from trash. And even too, like you go through these moments where you kind of go in a fight room, the doors lock, and a bunch of enemies are spawning. I still had such an easy time. Like the magic spells you get they're harder to find, but they're so good. Like I said, I got one that was a meteor strike. It was just a basic ability, and it would just clear out the room. Like it wasn't even an ultimate ability, but it was like, this is easy, and I'm doing great. I take a little damage. I'll use a health potion. Like I said, it heals nothing. The only way I really felt like I was getting health was random drops from enemies. But it was just the only thing that's the thing that was just frustrating me. It's just like easy, easy, easy. Boss fight, I get completely wiped. And it's just like, you gotta be kidding me. Start all over again. I will say at least the runs are quick. Like every floor that you're doing is like 1-2 minutes, really quick. You fight like 15, 20 enemies in the room. Cool. Next floor. And like I said, do it about 8 times. There's the main boss fight. So it wasn't anything too long, but it was just like, and I will say the weapons, the main weapons you're getting, your scythe, your twin scythe, they didn't feel too different to me that it was changing the flow of the gameplay. It was
It's
very
still just a
much,
lot of mash X.
yeah, a lot of mash X. I'm going to hopefully, your the bonus weapons you get, your Y or your B, those were the ones that are kind of different. I got a bow and arrow, daggers, an axe, you know, lightning bolts, fireballs, shurikens. They were nice, but they were never like, oh my gosh, this is changing the gameplay. This is so refreshing. This is great. It was still just like, all right, I'm still mashing X. Here's a boss. I do an ultimate.
Yeah,
So
it was largely just like you said. It was the magic spells that were honestly like the one thing that you're like, oh, I want to get these. Like some of
yeah,
them were pretty boring, but large, largely the best ones.
yeah. So it was just like when I played Dead Cells, it's drastically different from daggers to swords. Main weapon is a shield. So just to me, it had a lot more flavor to it. But it is also kind of a positive, as I said. This is kind of a roguelike. This is why I feel like I could put this game down for a month and come back to it because you know what you're getting into, and that's what I liked. It was at least I played this a lot on cloud, so I was just like, okay, boot it up, do a couple runs. All right, that's great. I'll come back to it in a couple hours or another day or so, and I'll be fine with it. But the procedural generation of it too, like that's the other thing that makes or breaks a roguelike is how brutal the RNG is. And I felt like the RNG in this game was good. Since everything was so relatively basic, I never felt like I was getting screwed. I was never like, I got this weapon for this run. This is a lost cause. I might as well quit. Everything just still felt like, whatever. I'm just going to keep going.
No, it was an RNG of like you would get really good RNG or you wouldn't. Like you said, there was no like, oh, I got this. There's no way I'm going to be able to win with this. I'm just going to hurl myself at Brad, or I'm just going. That's just I'm going to refer to every death in this game as just Brad. I didn't even die to Brad that much. I just like saying it, but you just like hurl yourself into death. You didn't do that. You were gonna stick it out and you were gonna try it because you're like, I don't know, I could probably make this work, or I can find something really good as I continue down. So it was like every run was worth going for, at least not like some of those games. But yeah, I think like like you said too, with like the I just play a couple runs and be done. That's something that's stand and I think you said it or put into words kind of my biggest feeling about this versus and I know we joke about Brotato and Balatro with me a lot because reasons,
It's not a
but like
joke. Like, Keith, I'm like legitimately concerned sometimes. Like, you,
yeah,
you
I
were
get that.
always on those.
I get that. I do. But the thing is, it's like it's and the reason is because when a run ends, I'm like, especially if I don't win, I'm like, all right, I can do it this next time. that was a dumb play. Like I know what I did wrong, and a lot of this was like, oh, I know it was a dumb play. I did this X or Y, but there was no like, oh man, like I could have had it. I really could have had it. It was like if I hadn't done that one done thing, the whole rest of the run was going to be easy. It was just like a make. There wasn't. It didn't have that like I need to go back to it type of thing. Like that's what a true not a true because this is very much a true roguelite, but like at its core for me is it like it has to have that like that run ends and I'm like yeah, one more sounds good. This
Because
was
that's,
like
yeah,
I think I
that's one of
could
my
be
biggest
done.
complaints with this. The unlocks kind of suck in this game. Like that's a good hook in a roguelike. When I die, I like to see things exploding. You got this, and it instantly makes me go, I want to try that. I gotta play again. Let's go. Let's try those daggers. No, it's every time it's just like, yeah, you got this now. And I'm like, okay, I might get to that thing next time. Like it never hooked me.
Well, because that's where like it does like a weird thing with the unlock mechanics that I kind of like, and it probably still isn't even all that revolutionary. But it ends up being a little bit of a hindrance to the game. Is you have the shop owner or whatever, whoever he is, not the in-run shop, like the out-of-run shop.
Yeah, he's like a researcher.
Yeah, and it's like there's the little challenges like kill so many enemies this way, do this, do that, or another thing, and it can essentially make an unlock free, or you can earn enough currency and you can just buy it for the full price, whatever you may want to do. So it gave you that like a little bit of what a roguelike's going to do, like trying different things and you know wanting to push further, be like, all right, next run I'm just going to focus on this so that I can do this unlock. Like that's where it had it, and it was unique and kind of interesting, but everything felt a little bit snail's pace to unlock because of it.
Yeah.
And that's where, like you said, there was never that like, oh, okay, that's a cool item that could shift my run. I'm going to try to see if I can grab that on my next one, and I'm going to go back for one more. And there just wasn't that happening.
Yeah. It's I'm sorry. I feel like we're being so negative with this game. I actually did enjoy it. Like I said, it just doesn't have those kind of hooks that I normally kind of get with a lot of roguelikes. I
I
don't even
think,
hear my dog. My dog's scratching at the door right now.
I mean, I think it's just because, at least for me, it's always like, yeah, roguelite, and I'm just, it was fun, it was fine, it was good.
Yeah, it was
But
good.
so for me to not like come out like rip roaring excited about it, it's like, wow, man, probably sounds really negative, but it's not. It really is fun, but it's fun for somebody who likes the genre, is what I think it really boils down to.
Yeah, I think it's just to me, it's just surprising playing this roguelike of being like, yeah, it was fun. Because usually when I play a roguelike, I'm like, I am going to be staring at the screen for hours and going to keep playing this game and keep going. And it's for this one, I was just like, meh. But speaking of staring at the screen for hours, though, I want to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsor for this episode, Gunner Glasses. Gunner Glasses are specially designed glasses for the gamer. They have a special UV lens to kind of help block out the rays that you normally get when you are constantly staring at a screen. So you may get a lot of eye fatigue. And also, too, it also helps with UV light outside as well. So these have been some wonderful glasses that we've been able to try out. Specifically, they give us the Call of Duty Ghost glasses, which that's going to be my first complaint. Why would you call your glasses after the rated of the worst Call of Duty game?
And that's fair, but they are pretty nice glasses. Like,
They're very
not pretty nice,
nice.
they're actually very nice glasses. The one struggle I ran into is I actually just recently got glasses of my own, but what actually worked out well, and I don't know, maybe you can get these with prescription on them, but
You can.
the I was gonna say, the for what it's worth, I don't have a strong prescription, so it worked out really well because these mimic my own prescription pretty well for my eyes, I guess, because I was able to wear them. Yeah, I really I've enjoyed wearing them. It's nice on the eyes because the I don't know what's the right term for it. Is it the tint of them? I guess I don't know. It helps with the blue light a lot, and everything feels a lot less bright. Because personally, I'm a night mode person on everything.
Yep.
I can't understand how people do like their glaring white screens with everything. It's just absolutely brutal. So I'm always a person who just doesn't like bright screens to begin with. So the shading on this, or again whatever the proper term is really nice, and it makes it a lot easier on the eyes, so
See,
they're
this is
a
also
nice
my first
gunny.
time ever having aviator glasses. Have you ever had these before?
No, I mean, I've probably worn some sunglasses of them along the way, and my normal frames are actually pretty narrow. So yeah, these are like fully encompasses the eye. It's
Yeah,
very
fully
nice.
covers. Yes, they actually rest a little bit more on my cheek, which at first I was like, ah, it's kind of annoying. But honestly, it makes it super comfortable. I've actually worn these for like hours, and I actually forget they're on my face. I like my prescription's relatively strong, but even then, like if I'm closer to my screen, I don't need my glasses, and these have been super nice. But if you're interested in your own pair, as I said, they do have prescription lenses. So go to gunnar.com. That's gunnar.com. And you can actually put in your own prescription lenses and they can actually put them in. And, you know, like I said, these glasses usually have a yellow tint to them, which this was another thing I was always concerned about because I've seen these before. And I'm like, does this just wash everything super yellow and everything just looks yellow? No, it actually, it like just lowers the brightness of everything. And I actually never don't even notice the yellow tint at all.
I do notice it when I take them off.
Yeah.
Everything looks very. It's funny because it's almost like an opposite effect. Because then when I take everything off, everything just looks super blue, and I'm like, "What's wrong with all the colors?" But like when I'm wearing them, it doesn't feel wrong, and they're not. Like you said, it's just very like everything's kind of dimmed down. But yeah, there's everything feels like blue when I take it off because everything's so bright.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Gunner, for sponsoring this episode. Like I said, go to gunner.com. And like I said, we have the Call of Duty Ghost, which is actually based off the Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And if you purchase these glasses, you will also get an in game charm for your weapon when you actually purchase these glasses.
I have to get mine.
But yeah, so back to Have a Nice Death. I will say the thing that it really kind of hooked me in this game, I love the charm of this and the art style. So I didn't realize, I actually just looked this up, that everything is actually hand drawn.
Dang, it's very impressive.
Yeah, which makes sense because like the backgrounds and everything like that. I loved the environments of this world. Obviously, the first level you're going to is very more Office Space esque, but then you kind of have two different branching paths you can go. You can go to a fast food world, or you can go to like a pollution world. Both very drastically different. They have their own rewards, which it tells you about. But I loved the art style. Like I loved the creativity of all the enemies, you know, because as I said, like as you're meeting these people, you kind of learn how they died, which if you read like the bestiary, once again, this game is cutesy, but incredibly morbid. Like you're fighting these like ghost women, and it talks about how they're like these secretaries that have just been so beaten down at work in their life and how miserable they were and stuff like that, and like ended up having like a fit of rage and dying, and that's why
Jeez.
they're now a personification of like this like rage ghost. It's like weird because you look at it, it's like that's kind of cutesy, but then you read the story behind it and you're like, this
Like,
is
oh, not
dark.
so much.
Yeah. But I loved the environments of it. Like it's so like it kind of gave me whiplash of like, even death himself is like he's like the size of a child and he has like a cute little skull, and but it's like, no, you are the Grim Reaper. You are literally killing people and you have this very morbid job. But I don't know. I This is the thing that just was mostly hooking me. I love this game's art style and the theme of it.
Yeah, no, I agree overall. And the for a game to be at least largely black and white as it is, I'm trying to think of maybe there's like kind of some blues to it here and
The only
there.
color you really kind of got were like the curse cards when you like leveled up, and the enemies would be like kind of
That's a
reddish.
whole nother mechanic too. And I mean nothing crazy for a roguelike, but it's like you have these it's almost immediately punishing though, I will say, because you it's like by the time you level up to just about any level two of the three trees that you have there, I feel like it was already adding like curses on like, no, you're gonna take bad stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which, again, sort of added to some of the difficulty, I guess. But otherwise, yeah, I mean it's your pretty standard, like, hey, here's your three options. And it pretty much just lays it out as like Andrew was saying, where that blue, green, and red, where you can focus on your magic tree, kind of skill tree, your dexterity tree, and then your power tree. So nothing too crazy, but just know that as you progress through it, very quickly they start adding bad things onto you.
Yeah. But like there's actually a significant amount of enemies. That's the other thing that kind of surprised me is the variety of enemies. So obviously every time you go into like a different world, you're interacting with like 4 or 5 enemies. But to me, there was just not a lot of reskins. It was every time I was going to a new world, here's completely new enemies. And like I'm actually have the list of enemies in front of me, and it's pretty significantly long. But
They were,
also
but they were
too,
still kind of that same. model, I guess, right? Or it was like you had like your beefy boy attackers, your standard, and not that that's a bad thing. I mean, that's kind of, I guess, a lot how just about any game ability you kind of have your archetypes of enemies.
Yes and no. I mean, I don't know. There's a good amount of archetypes, but there was still like whenever did the pollution world,
Yeah,
majority of those enemies were ranged. Like to me, that was like a more of a like artillery kind of route you went. But if you went to the fast food, a lot of those people are kind of more melee. I don't know.
yeah,
It,
I
I
guess
don't
there's
know.
something for that.
But once again, the enemy. So yeah, I forgot. There's another enemy called the Morticulturist. He's literally a groundskeeper guy that has his hedge clippers shoved through his head. It's just like, man. Oh yeah, there's another enemy that's literally a hanged rope that has a person like hung, and they're attacking you with the end of their rope that they hung themselves with. It's so
Casual.
this game is it gives me whiplash to how morbid it can be. But then also super cute because then you're also fighting a plastic cup that shoots a straw at you, and it's just like, oh, that's kind of a cute, funny character.
Yeah, in the well, did you read the bestiary on the fry cup on like the fry box? And then there's a little fry worm that's left behind after it has its own bestiary. And it's like the sad thing about something about how like the fry box protects it. And like it's like you probably shouldn't kill it, but you will anyways, or something along those lines.
It's so weird.
Let me pull it up real quick.
I will say this game does a good job though with its lore. Like I said, there as you're talking to people using weapons, there's information on everything, on every weapon you're using, every enemy you're fighting, every employee you're talking to. There's a lot of lore in this game, which is very impressive. But if you're someone who
It says
doesn't care about lore, you don't have to read it. So it's great of like, people who want to learn more about
yeah,
this world. Yeah, there's stuff for you there. I think I found them. Yeah, the fry.
I was gonna say this is the so it breaks it down like yeah, she was a fry, just a small fry, and now you made her sad. Can you really be so heartless? I know you took it out on that poor little fry because the rest of the bestiary got the better of you. Is that it? What a time to be alive. So it kind of roasts
Can
you.
she fight back? The answer
But
is
yeah,
no.
it's so like that's where it's like there's little things like that that I thought were kind of funny, but otherwise, going back to it, the dialogue kind of leaves a little bit to be desired, I guess.
Yeah. But as far as the music goes though, the music to me was fine. I don't know. I This game did not have a great soundtrack. It was fine. The one thing I always did love though, every time you died and you teleported back to your CEO desk, it always did that chime of welcome to the afterlife. That was just it. And it was just like, that's kind of nice. But that was it. That's that's the most I can kind of say about the
That
dialogue.
was it. That was the thing
Yep.
I liked.
When you talk to people, it does a whole lot of just garbly noises. And it's just like, okay, garbly noises kind of
Like,
getting annoying.
great.
Start mashing A.
Yeah, that might have been part of the time I started to just mash where I was like, yeah, this is not very good.
I feel like the more I'm actually talking about this, the more I'm kind of talking myself down.
Yeah. All this slowly talking ourselves out of it as we talk everyone else out of it at the same time.
I don't know. I guess I don't really have anything else to say about the audio.
No, because I mean, then it's achievements aren't great either. Like it's your typical roguelite slash like really. They're very grindy. You might be able to get a good chunk of them, but I think I had like 200 or something.
Have a Nice Death does have an original soundtrack that's on Spotify.
Okay. Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, the achievements were fine. They weren't too bad. If you're looking for time to beat, it's listed at 9.5 hours to 30 hours, which I can see. Like I said, this game definitely is. This is the other thing I will say. It's kind of nice about this roguelike. It is a lot of skill. You could pick this up and essentially beat it your first run. There's nothing like too much. Like I said, the unlocks to me were just kind of meh. And I think that is kind of a good thing too, because it's not like, oh, this game's going to be so hard until you hit level 10 and get the unlock where you get such and such a thing. No, if you are good enough, you could easily actually beat this game and just go through it. Because that was the thing with Dead Cells of, You start off with like, I think it was like a rusty dagger, something that was super crappy. You're not going to win that run. It wasn't until like, oh, I got this weapon. This is my play style. I'm going to win the game now. To me, Have a Nice Death, there is just a nice feel to the fact that it's just, if you're good enough, you can actually beat this first run. I mean, there are some unlocks that do make it a little bit better. The shop will get cheaper for you. There'll be discounts on things. You'll get more souls when you do a run. So there are things that obviously will make a run easier, but it just never felt like, oh, this is a game changer. Like there wasn't one where it's like, oh, you get an extra life. Nothing like that.
No, I think at most probably the best things were probably the ones that charged up
Your fury.
your fury or made you heal faster or better. If you had anything like that, that was probably about the only good things or best things, I should say.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll get our final thoughts here. Be a little bit of a shorter episode. I mean, this is kind of a shorter game. So for me, Have a Nice Death. As I said, this is a good game. I know I feel like we've been dunking on it. The thing that mostly drew me is the art style. I loved this world's environment. I loved its art style, its character design. I would say you could even maybe play this in front of kids because even though it doesn't look grotesque, as an adult, like if my daughter saw this game, I don't think she would be freaked out or grossed out or scared by anything. But as an adult, if you look at a lot of the cues this game shows you, or you read in the bestiaria, you realize this game is very morbid. Obviously, it's a game about death, but it's very kind of colorful and cheeky. Not colorful, but the art design is very cartoonish. The gameplay itself is solid, easy to pick up, easy to put down. You don't need to have, this doesn't need to be a commitment to you. You don't have to play this game until you completely beat it or you're going to forget it. This to me was, a good 78. I loved playing this on cloud. It was easy to boot up, do a couple runs, put it down, and just, I'm good for now. It would even save mid floor. So, or like you would restart the floor, but I could be in the middle of a run, stop, and go back to it. That's also a great feature. So this is a great roguelike to have and be able to play on the go. It just didn't hook me. I wanted more of the unlocks. I wanted a bit more from the story. Because like I said, I like this world. I got sick of the same dialogue.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like you said, I feel like I've sat here and like this was kind of dumb. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. But I would absolutely play this more than I would play games that I've probably said I would go back and play and had a lot better things to say about it purely on
Well, it's
its
a
merit.
roguelike. Roguelikes are your crack.
Well, exactly. And I mean, just purely on its merit of that. And it doesn't do anything that's so heinous that I'm like, no, this is unplayable. Like you really gone off track with this. It is a perfectly serviceable roguelike for me. And I would absolutely play it again. But there's nothing that makes me want to keep playing one more run. I just went like, if anything, it was more like, maybe I'll play one more run after this one. Like, and it's a weird difference maker to like start a run and say, I'm only going to play one more after this one. Like I was kind of giving myself deadlines and I would be done with it at that point. I'm like, I'm going to give this 2 more tries to see what I can do. Whereas in most of this genre, it's at the end of a run. That's when I'm like, okay, now it's one more. It's I've told myself before the run that this is going to be the last one, and then I'm like, just kidding, one more. So I wasn't doing that with this one. So it's just it's hard for me to feel excited about it. But if you like this, if you like the genre, you like the platformer roguelikes, absolutely worth checking out and absolutely worth the playthrough. Just give yourself some new flavor. But really, I don't think I would recommend this to anybody who wasn't specifically looking for something like this. Is what I would say. Like there's a lot of other games that I would be like, no, you got to check this out for one. Like, we've recently covered Inscription. I'm like, I don't care if you really like card games so much. Inscription is worth playing for so many other reasons than it's bare bones of a game. And this just doesn't have any of that. So I think 78 is a good score. I'm going to go with 80 because, again, that's just kind of like my standard roguelike score. It's almost like a 0 for a roguelike at this point. But it's still an 80, but basically it's 0. So I'm going with 80 because that's what I do. But But yeah, I think 78 is a good score. I approve of your 78 is what I'm saying, Andrew. And I know
Okay.
you're always looking for my approval on your rankings. So,
But speaking of games I never want to play again, I keep forgetting to bring this up with you, Keith. Did you see what game is leaving Game Pass finally?
yeah, I know Soccer Story is going away. That's very
I
sad.
cannot believe how
What's
long
next?
that game is on Game Pass.
What's next? Are they going to take the big con from me? Jeez.
Please. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have a celebration where that game is gone. And it like Soccer Story and the Big Con. God, I was so like usually when it's like, oh, game's leaving soon, there's always like 3 or 4 where I'm like, oh, that really hurts. That really hurts. This is the first time where I was like, yes, Soccer Story's gone.
That
Uh,
feels dramatic.
it does, but just seeing the game's cover art, I was like, oh, that game looks off. I clicked on it again, and it just brought back memories. I'm like, man, I was so bored playing that game. I before it leaves, I feel like I should put my 5-year-old in front of it and see what she thinks of it.
I bet you she stinking loves it.
I would be so disappointed.
Like Googling adoption
Well,
process.
it's funny. I forgot to bring this up. You and Aaron didn't care for Tectonica. My 5-year-old plays it. My 5-year-old has figured out Tectonica. You and Aaron could not figure out Tectonica. My 5-year-old can.
Weird. She was able to figure it out with her dad who knows what's going on.
I mean, I've helped her with the controls, okay?
It would be like my 6-year-old trying to teach me how to drive a car. Like she doesn't know how to do it at its bare minimum. How's she gonna teach me? So
You're
yeah,
right.
it makes sense that you could put the control in her hands and teach her how to play. And
I
once
mean,
you showed me, I figured it out. I didn't figure it out on my own. That's all.
all right,
I just
whatever.
didn't, and I didn't get the hooks of it either. That's all.
Tectonica is still great. I've almost beaten it.
I'm not even arguing that you're wrong. It's just not for me. Not for me. It wasn't that experience.
All right. But thank you all so much for joining us. Like I said, thank you so much again, Gunner Glasses, for supporting us and sponsoring this episode. Make sure you go to gunner.com. That's GUNNAR.com. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live Firebird01952. Thank you again to our listener who recommended that we play Have a Nice Death. So thank you again, Alone by Choice. Sorry, we probably weren't as excited about this game as you were, but it was still very nice. But yeah, if you want to give us any game suggestions, check out our YouTube, see these live recordings, go to GamePassGrabBag.com. You'll bring you to our link tree where you'll find all the links to our things. Write us an email. You can reach us anyway. Spotify, write a comment on Spotify. That's actually how this listener did it. YouTube, wherever. Send us a carrier pigeon. We really got to get better with our listener picks, Keith. We have not done as many listener request games.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was just trying, I was coming up with my outro, aka not really. But I realized I had to do my listener review, and I don't even remember what my bear score is anymore.
I'm
I
pretty sure
think
it's
it's
90.
I think it's 90.
Yeah, because you gave Donnie an 88, and you're always sure you got to give someone higher than Donnie.
That sounds about right. I'm gonna give. What was it? Lonely One you said? So Lonely One's gonna get a
Alone
9.
by choice.
Alone by choice. Okay, so Alone by choice is gonna get a 91 because they're gonna get 1 bonus point for picking a roguelike. But since I didn't really love it, it doesn't go higher than that. So you get 1 bonus point. Thank you for listening. Thank you for recommending games. We love you all. We appreciate you. Keep doing that. Keep
But
listening
speaking
to
of
us, and
Donnie,
we'll
we
keep trying to
actually
do this.
we
Yeah, we
actually might
got.
be doing a Dungeons and Dragons episode.
You're spoiling it.
Well, let us know, people, if you actually want to hear it.
Or if you don't, we're still gonna do it. But
We just might put it on our YouTube channel instead.
but still download it because we need the numbers. But you don't have to listen to it. Just download it and play it.
All right, everyone. Thank you all. We love you all. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.